Hey guys, I'm Mike from Pop-Ups Miami, and I'm here to talk to you about my 2020 CSC RX4 and what modifications I've done to it to make it what it is today. So first off, we're going to start off with the drivetrain and reliability aspect. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. Starting with the gold RK chain. I mean, it is a Chinese bike. It's been pretty reliable so far, but I didn't want to get stranded in the middle of nowhere, so the first thing I did was opt in for a more reliable Japanese RK gold chain. It's O-ring based just like the OEM one, but this one has very, very good reliability reviews, so I chose this. Next up is the Tusk Chubb handlebars and the ROX handlebar risers. If I'm not mistaken, it's a 2-inch riser, but I didn't want to deal with dropping the bike and bending the bars constantly, so I wanted a tapered bar. These are very similar to the Pro Tapers. It's been very reliable. The bike has been dropped many times, not once has it bent. So, highly recommend them. Next up, we got the adjustable billet levers. They're very nice. You can move them over to wherever you want. And with this bike's particular issue with the clutch grabbing, it really helps out a lot. Next up is the Amazon Service style bark busters. Went ahead and got these because they really do help out a lot. I did away with the factory tube system and I outfitted the bike with the Outtex tubeless kit. It's basically like a 3-step process. You gotta clean up the spokes from the inside of the rim, fill each one of the top of the spokes with silicone after you tighten the spokes to make sure they're not loose. Then you apply a marine grade tape over the spokes, obviously on the inside of the rim, and then you go ahead and put in basically a car valve. After that, the bike becomes tubeless. You got to be careful with this kind of setup. The back rim, if I'm not mistaken, has a bead on it, but the front one does not. So there's a chance that if you run low enough pressure, the tire can come off of the rim. So do be careful and run this at your own risk. Along with the tubeless setup, I also set up a TPMS sensor system. Got it on Amazon for about $50. Been using it for almost 4 months already. It's worked really well. This signals out to over here. I don't know if you can see that, but it tells you the temperature and it tells you the pressure and PSI right there. And that brings me to the next set of upgrades. So the front tire and the back tire that came from factory were definitely not enough for my driving style. It came with an 80-20, 80% road, 20% off-road. I needed more of a 50-50 setup since I do a lot of off-roading and overland. So I went ahead with the Shinko 804 front tire, and I went ahead and I opted in for the Mitas E07 Dakar Edition rear tire. Both of them are in tubeless configuration. They both have about 3,000 miles on them. As you can see, there's minimal wear. They last a very long time on pavement, so I highly recommend these tires. I've been in some pretty sticky situations and I have not gotten stuck, so they're very, very, very good. The RX4 comes with a skid plate from factory, but I got the guys at CSC to install this 6mm thick aluminum skid plate for me. It does a really good job and it's saved my bacon a couple of times already. So even though the bike does come from factory with ABS, it has no way of disabling it from factory. And you do want to have that back tire freed up whenever you're going off-road to be able to slide. So went ahead and added this switch right over here. When you turn on the bike, you have to hold the button as you're turning it on. Then the ABS light will start flashing. When that light starts flashing, you let go of the button. And then the bike will continuously flash, meaning the ABS is disabled, and then you're good to go. And from what I think, the last drivetrain and reliability upgrade for the bike, and probably one of the most important ones, would be the double take mirrors over here. So these mirrors are based on ram mounts, and they have a lifetime warranty. And in the event of a fall, and you fall on this side, they just bend up out of the way, and it prevents the perch from cracking and leaving you stranded, which I think is really important. So now we're moving into comfort and safety. So we're gonna blow through this section pretty quickly. So starting off with the seat concept seat. The stock one was fine, but my girlfriend was complaining about the long distance rides. So I went ahead and opted in for the seat concept seat. It still wasn't enough for comfort for extreme long distances like the 200 to 300 mile a day ranges. So I went ahead and I got the Mad Dog ATV seat cover. Next up is the night light auxiliary floodlight system. The RX4 has great visibility at night, but it has a very massive blind spot right around here. So you don't see anything within the first 10 feet of the bike, which is very bad. Both of those are controlled by this switch right over here. Next up is the Garmin Zumo GPS. So this GPS is very useful. It also has a gas tracking feature. The stock gas tank on this bike is not exactly very accurate. So I go ahead and use the GPS mostly for fill-ups. It lets me know exactly where it's supposed to be. I got the thing pretty much every ADV rider needs, which is the RAM phone holder. Can't recommend this enough. It's a fantastic addition to any bike. For protection wise, I went ahead and I added a Aprilia gas tank protector that I went ahead and I trimmed down to make it fit the RX4. And I got a front headlight protector from a BMW GS 1200. Slight modifications to make it work, but it's more or less the same shape as you can see. So I went ahead and got the cruise control. It's a manual one. The way that it works is you flip it this way and you bring this down, and it basically throttle locks it in that position. And when you're ready to come to a light, you just bring it down. And then last, for comfort and safety, I got a cup holder. This is probably my most used modification. Now for storage, I really only have 3 things to talk about. First up is the Tourfella aluminum panniers. Very good. Hardly run with the sides. I wrapped the top in carbon fiber just to protect it a little bit. As you can see, it already has some scratches, so it's doing its job. Has a lot of storage capability, and they do come with a little wire to keep it from swinging all the way back, which is a nice touch. They're 100% waterproof. I've been caught in a massive rainstorm and nothing gets in, so that's good. Next up is my most used storage container. This is the Nelson Rig Adventure Gear bag for the tank. This thing's awesome. It expands to about this big if you need the space. This is where I keep the GPS box, where I used to store the GPS whenever I take it inside. It's right here. Keep my gloves in here, flashlight. Because of the pandemic, I keep a mask in here as well. It's very good, and it's definitely a necessity in a daily travel. And the last section on the storage is a gas tank holder. I opted in for the long haul 3-liter gas tank. This is where they go. You twist these on, and then they mount on right here. I didn't mount both of them on because I typically don't carry more than one on me. This is what it looks like when it's mounted. A couple of side notes on modifications that are just purely cosmetic. I got rid of the factory CSC badge, and I looked over Taobao to find the original badge that this bike is supposed to come with in China, and that's it right there. It's the Dragon. And I'm a computer gamer, and I like MSI, and I thought that the badge kind of looks like the little MSI Dragon. So went ahead and accessorized it with this. Okay, now for future modifications. So Joey from CSC let me know that they're trying to find a bigger rear sprocket with a little bit more teeth, so the low end will be a lot better for off-roading. I'm probably gonna get the 2021 tubeless wheels just to have an extra spare set of wheels, the ones that actually come tubeless, not with the modifications. Maybe a slip-on exhaust in the future, one with a baffle. I don't want it to be too loud, but for now that's all I'm thinking. On a complete side note, I'm also on the OEM battery. I've heard a lot of people complain about the stock battery leaving them stranded. I've never used a battery tender. I do drive the bike maybe once a week to once every 2 weeks. It has over 3,000 miles on it, so I can say it's been pretty reliable. Starts every time. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching.